basically a little bit about the South Lee County watershed. It includes Estero River, Spring Creek, Halfway Creek, Imperial River, all of those rivers that drain into the Estero Bay Aquatic Preserve. Next slide. Little factoid in the interim is that Estero Bay was the state's first aquatic preserve. The issues that are affecting that watershed, a lot of native wetland habitats are being lost to agriculture, development, drainage canals, surface mining, roadways. The ecosystems are highly susceptible there to over drainage and flooding, habitat changes, water quality degradation, climate change stressors. Rivers and creeks are experiencing significant flooding during storm events and very low flows during the dry season. So particularly the Imperial River, which has overtopped its banks and caused extreme flooding in downtown Bonita Springs in residential communities that were underwater for weeks at end after Irma, with several feet of water in their living rooms. So pretty severe, extensive flooding in that watershed. Next slide. So as a result of a lot of these challenges through the years, people have come together, different partners, a collaborative multi-agency and non-governmental entities as well, coming together to try to form this South Lee County Watershed Initiative, which aims to restore natural water flows, improve water quality and environmental conditions, and increase natural water storage and moderation of flooding events. The CHNEP has been leading this initiative since 2016, and I'm just going to go into some of the recent developments of our activities related to it. Next slide. So you'll see here in the lower left-hand corner a map with a red outline. That is the area that we are discussing as the South Lee County area. We are working to develop a model of this watershed that simulates hydrology needed during dry season conditions to support natural systems like wetlands in the area. You'll see a large area of green in that red outline. That's the Corkscrew Swamp area, and also some other slough systems that go down through what's known as the Lee County Density Reduction Groundwater Resource Area, a very important area for groundwater public water supplies. The efforts that we're doing with trying to look at modeling the dry season conditions for natural systems is to complement the stormwater and flood routing modeling that's being done by the Village of Estero, Lee County, and the Big Cypress Basin in Audubon. We're going to be integrating existing ecological data from the DRGR studies that have been previously conducted in this area in Lee County and Bonita Springs. Next slide. A little bit more about the project specifics is we're going to update existing integrated surface groundwater modeling using the Big Cypress Basin model, and to complement what is being done with that, to better understand the South Lee County modeling area. So we're again trying to work with all these partners to create something that's going to complement existing efforts and enhance ecological data available to determine the appropriate hydro patterns, timing, and quantity of water flows required to improve hydrological conditions to wetlands, flowways, tributaries, and coastal waters and habitat. We will include natural systems model in a portrayal of pre-development hydrological conditions and what the appropriate water levels and flows should be to support the remaining natural areas in this watershed. Next slide. So it hopefully will, again, help us give us the complete picture of why we're experiencing flooding, where water is naturally going, where we can move it back to its historical flow paths in a safe manner that will benefit both the environment and flood protection. And it will assist us in the identification of appropriate cost-effective restoration projects to increase surface water storage and restore historical hydro patterns. Next slide. We also are going to be looking at modeling future scenarios, different combinations of selected restoration and management activities, and the culmination of the project will be a report that will provide the results from each model run and recommendations on priority restoration and management projects and actions with the resulting benefits and the approximate implementation costs. Next slide. So the benefits of this is to provide partners a tool to move forward with comprehensive collaborative projects and watershed restoration efforts to improve the hydrological conditions and habitat in this region. And it'll restore wetland hydro periods, hopefully to extend those hydro periods, reducing fires, improving water quality, improving habitat for wetland dependent wildlife species, and improving public drinking water supplies. Next slide. It'll provide information on the timing, distribution, quantity, and quality of water needed to improve the historic surface flows to the Estero River, Spring Creek, and Imperial River to Estero Bay. And the data collection, evaluation, analysis, and recommendation development will ensure success of selected future restoration projects, encourage stakeholder participation in the implementation of this plan, and identify appropriate ecosystem management measures. Next slide. So I just want to thank each and every one of our partners, the South Florida Water Management District, the Southwest Florida Regional Planning Council, City of Bonita Springs, Lee County, Village of Estero, Bonita Springs Utility, Estero Council of Community Leaders, Audubon, the Florida Department of Transportation, Conservancy of Southwest Florida, and so many more that I can't even name here. I would point out that on the CHNEP.org website under hydrological restoration, there is a page with a link to a page specifically about this initiative with more information for those of you who are looking for that detailed information. Please feel free to go on our website to learn more. Next slide. All right, so I think we're running a couple minutes before time. I'll just say while we're waiting for the questions to come in through menti.com, again, using that code 639808 that's on the top of your screen. I'll go into those momentarily, but please stay on the line if you are on the line to the checkout closing statements to check out through your chat in order to make sure that you're eligible for your continuing education credits. All right, we have a couple questions here. So what will be involved with climate change future conditions modeling? We are very interested in, of course, in trying to integrate climate change modeling into as many things as we can. And I do think that's a very important factor. Our future scenarios have yet to be determined, but that is one of the future scenarios that we're anticipating could be modeled as part of this modeling effort. If it isn't, we would look to try to do that in a added component in the future to make sure that that is incorporated into this planning effort. Will this project involve any land acquisition efforts? Yes, we are going to leave the door open, if you will, to look at easements and land acquisition opportunities as part of this. We have recently had some sizable land acquisitions in this watershed with the Edison Farms acquisition. And so hopefully this will help to complement efforts to enhance and restore that property, a 4,000 acre wetland property that's important habitat for the wood stork and other species. How will this model expand current efforts? Again, what is being done by a lot of our partners is focused on wet season conditions, stormwater and flood routing. We are looking at trying to round out the picture with giving the dry season conditions and looking at what natural system needs are. And I think with all that information combined, we should have all the pieces of the puzzle to know how to effectively restore the hydrology of this watershed. Who will be implementing restoration projects? Well, we have a number of different partners, as we've mentioned, including the CHNEP, and we look to working with all of those partners to seek funding for implementation of this plan once we've identified those projects. So I foresee that there'll be numerous different entities working on implementing these restoration projects. When will the modeling be completed? We are currently in the procurement phase for this project. So It's going to take a little bit of time, but basically we anticipate it will be completed by September 2021. Is the goal to restore to a more natural condition rather than adding engineering controls? Well, I think we're going to leave, again, this open. We have a lot of things to balance in this watershed. There is a big flood protection element. Of course, we have to restore hydrology in a way that protects the environment and people. And so we cannot guarantee that all of the restoration initiatives will be solely natural approaches, but certainly we favor those at the CHNEP, and we will be looking for opportunities wherever possible to do so. But I wouldn't say that in all truth that we can exclude engineering controls. Water control structures and whatnot are a necessary component to hydrologic restoration everywhere, including in Everglades restoration. So we'll just have to wait and see what the modeling tells us needs to be done to try to restore the hydrology. Any further questions here? All right, again, those of you who are looking for your continuing education credits, if you wouldn't mind staying on for our closing remarks, it's just a couple more minutes, and then checking out during then. That is a requirement of AWRA to show that you have participated in the whole session. What data are you using to create the models? Good question. We are actually looking at a lot of existing data that's out there. There already are many different groundwater monitoring wells, flow gauges and whatnot that we're going to be pulling information together from. So it's going to be a variety of data sources, but that is one of the first tasks of the consultant that will be selected to do this, is to gather up all of the data. There's been a lot of research and studying of this watershed through the years, so we want to make sure that we use all that good data that's been collected as the basis of this modeling effort. All right, with that, I think we can go ahead and move on. I just want to, before we get into closing remarks, say that without the amazing colleagues at the Coastal and Heartland National Estuary Partnership, today would not have been possible. So I want to first commend Nicole Idavia, our CHNEP Research and Outreach Manager, also Andrew Webb, who is our Finance and Grants Manager.